Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the Nick's Boots from Start to Finish podcast. My name is Shuyler Mao. I'm joined today by Steve and Audrey Zimmerman. They operate a boot making operation in Pennsylvania. Do you guys mind sharing some history and who you are and what the business is and all that good stuff?
Go ahead, Audrey.
Okay. Thank you for having us on here, by the way.
Yes, thank you.
Of course. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, so I am Audrey Zimmerman. I'm a fourth generation shoemaker here at the shoe company. I came on board here about 10 years ago, but I always knew I wanted to be a shoemaker. My dad worked here pretty much his entire life, and we are a family-owned shoe company. Our parent company is Kepner, and our daughter brand is Zimmerman Shoes.
Awesome.
Sure. May I jump in?
Of course.
Sure. So Oringsburg is a small community. It was a shoemaking community. In 1913, there were 11 footwear manufacturers here. We produced 1,500,000 pairs of shoes annually, from children's to men's to women's. The plus for the community was the railroad system that was bringing raw materials and all-out finished goods. And as the years went by, there were a few less. And fortunately, we remained, and we're 135 years old this year. And we guess that we've made in excess of 10 million pairs of shoes.
Well, that's incredible, and congratulations on the anniversary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anytime you can exist for that long, that's very impressive. So Kepner Scott is the original brand, right, or the original name of the company?
Yes,
is that correct? Okay. And so, but now you have Zimmerman Shoes as a separate brand. Do you mind speaking to why you came out with the separate brand there for Zimmerman?
Yeah. So in 2014, my sister and I had an idea where we wanted to create a brand that honored our family shoemaking heritage. And we brought back vintage patterns and designs that my great-grandfather and grandfather designed in the 60s and 70s, and kind of brought them out of the archives and created these beautiful styles from them. So everything is still made here. Zimmerman Shoes is just a little bit more modern, where Kepner Scott focuses more on traditional styles. So over the years, we've added some touches to our Milo boot and our scallop Mary Jane. We've worked with artists all over the world to create beautiful prints and exclusive designs on our leathers. So it's just a little bit more of a modern brand to our older company.
Awesome. Yeah, I know you were generous enough to have us in the building, and I was just blown away by how many different leather options you guys get to work with.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome. So what do you think the future holds for these two brands? Do you think you'll continue to operate them separately, or do you think you'll bring them together?
Yeah, so at the end of this year, our plan is to merge both companies together. So it will be Zimmerman Shoes by Kepner Scott. Traditionally, we were a wholesale company. Over the years, we manufactured and distributed all over the United States. When we launched Zimmerman Shoes, we wanted to focus more on direct-to-consumer. So we went online, and we have a website where you can purchase our shoes. And then it just grew and grew, and we started shipping internationally all over the world. So Zimmerman Shoes right now is a little bit more well-known because of those direct consumers knowing the brand name. So we're still going to have our Kepner Scott styles. If, a customer is looking for that classic white Mary Jane or that classic white bootie, we have those options available. But moving forward, we're going to merge the brands hopefully by July of 2023. And have everything under one website, one social media platform. It's just easier to manage on our end too.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I wish you luck with that. That can always be a challenge bringing two separate brands together, but it sounds like it makes a lot of sense for you guys from an administration standpoint alone. You mentioned your sister. Do you have any other family members working with you in the family business?
No, well, yes, my sister and of course Audrey's sister are working.
Okay,
If I could jump back a second,
sure.
Skylar, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, regarding the history, when my grandfather and three of his sons purchased Kepner Scott, um, welt construction was predominant in the children's footwear industry, and my grandfather wanted to make children's shoes flexible, comfortable, breathable, and durable. And he set out to go down a different path and go with a cement constructed shoe. And it was a 3 to 5 year process till we got it perfected. But each shoe that we build now has breathability, comfort, good fit, and flexibility. And that's been our standard from day one, and we continue to do that.
Yeah, I think that's a great segue. And I think, children's shoes obviously run the gamut from a pricing standpoint. And I don't think that your prices are particularly, high. What is the average price point for one of your most popular styles?
Our prices range from anywhere from 37 for our soft-soled shoes to 80 to more of our niche collections or
Okay.
exclusive designs.
Okay. Is that high? I unfortunately don't have a ton of experience with children's shoes, but is that high?
It's competitive
Yeah.
Okay.
with other brands out there.
And, what makes us really different is that all of our shoes are handmade, like right here.
Right.
As you toured our shoe company, and from start to finish, every hand out there is touching each pair of shoes.
Okay. Yeah, and Steve, you mentioned the flexibility being a key point in kind of how you arrived at this configuration and this construction method. Can you speak more to what separates the Zimmerman or Kepner Scott shoe from what else is out there?
Well, I think the basic features in both Kepner Scott, Zimmerman, and our competition, uh, our competitors probably have flexibility in their shoes. What they don't do is have width structures like we do. We have a
Okay.
traditional B, C, D, E, double E, and triple E. A lot of our competitors have gone to narrow, medium, and wide. For instance, what's a wide? Is a wide a
Sure.
double E or a triple E?
Sure.
And yeah, we stuck with the letter widths, and that's worked well for us over the years.
And the other thing is whole and half sizes.
Mm.
When shoe manufacturing went overseas, they got rid of the traditional widths, like, my dad said, and the whole and half sizes. It was easier to carry a last that was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 versus 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5, and so on. So I think that really makes us stand out, because not every foot, as a child's foot is growing, is the same.
Sure.
If I may add, Shuyler, I think when you were here, I showed you the design my grandfather originally came up with. It's called the Milo boot, which was his first name, of course, and it has a short vamp on it. And for anyone who doesn't know what the vamp is, it's a forepart of the shoe, the leather forepart, and the quarter, which is the back part. He designed it where the vamp is short and the quarter is longer, so it's easier to put in a child's foot. Children
Okay.
have a tendency to curl their toes, and he made that a fitting part of the fitting feature.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess could you speak more? Obviously, we talked till there's not very many shoemakers left, right? And especially here in the United States. Could you go through, like, I don't know, how do you keep the business going? When the vast majority of footwear out there is made by much less expensive labor, and it's difficult to communicate the value to the consumer. What do you think has really kept Zimmerman and Kepner Scott going over all
I
these
may
years?
speak to that. Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
we saw transition offshoring back in the '80s, early '90s, and we made a decision to stay domestic and produce footwear here. And what's been our path or our success has been niche markets. We address many of them, one being children's orthopedic footwear. We have children's saddle shoes, uniform saddle shoes.
We sell
high-end boutiques. And the niches, the Amish, we sell a lot of footwear to the Amish.
Okay.
Three best
Very
colors are
interesting.
black, black, and black.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Black's a great color. Yeah. Any other interesting niches or subcultures that you find your boots get or your shoes get used by or in?
Yeah, so more recently, especially with Zimmerman Shoes, we've connected with a lot of children's clothing brands. So they'll come in and create a style based on their clothing line for the season.
Oh, sure.
And we'll take our best-selling patterns and, work with prints that they want to do or different colored leathers that they want to do and focus kind of on that and those styles, which has been a lot of fun.
And we're also excited about the Baby Builder Pro and the Builder Pro Junior.
Well, thanks for bringing that up.
I didn't want to.
Yeah, no, thank you for that introduction. Yeah, so we'll be doing a partnership with Kepner Scott / Zimmerman on a Builder Pro for babies. So they've been kind enough to let us help develop this with them and try and deliver the same high quality construction that our customers are used to their children, and we're really excited for that. So we'll be getting that out there. So the story behind that is kind of interesting. We did a Baby Builder Pro for April Fools last year, and we're very surprised at the number of people who engaged with it, said that they would buy it for their children, and so, thank you for helping to make that a reality. We really appreciate it.
Yep, we're very excited.
Yeah, we are most definitely excited.
Yeah, so we've talked a little bit about the differences between, your product and what else is out there. So there's better sizing, more granular sizing. We've got extra flexibility. We've got a bigger opening to make it easier to get the child's foot into the shoe. I'm assuming you'll speak to, do you want to talk to the materials that go into that? Like how much better is some of the stuff that you're using compared to what you might find overseas or something like that?
Sure. We use as much as we can domestic leathers. We use for the vamps and the quarters and the outer part of the shoe. We use leather linings, and if need be, we have a cotton lining up in the vamp area. We have a breathable cushioned footbed, and we just make every attempt to emphasize, as I said before, on fit, comfort, and breathability. And
Awesome.
we feel that the breathability is really important. Yeah, I don't know if you ever wore a pair of rubber boots,
Sure.
that don't have any breathability to them, and your feet, of course, perspire, and we don't think that's really healthy.
Yeah.
Leather is has a breathability characteristic and a good product for the type of footwear we make.
Yeah, no, we're super excited. It's going to be a really high quality product. And, for those, what I think is funny is our purchase process, we try to make it as easy as possible, but some people just obsess over sizing and kind of getting it perfect and everything. And so I will tell our customers that you can now introduce that sizing paralysis decision-making to your children at a very young age. And that'll carry them through a lifetime of high-end boot ownership. So we're excited to do that.
To note on that, we have a couple years ago, we came out with a Brannick device, which is that, that everybody refers to it as that silver thing that
Sure.
the metal silver thing that measuring device, but it's actually called a Brannick device. We created a digital version of that for footwear. So you can print it out at home and measure your little ones at home. And you'll know exactly what size they are.
Awesome. Yeah, we do a similar thing. So we'll definitely be sure to make those resources available to anyone interested.
Yeah.
So we'll step away from that topic a little bit. I wanted to I'm always interested to hear how other businesses performed through COVID. And it sounds to me like with the way, you've talked about the business, that maybe you weren't quite as digitally positioned to take off. It sounds like that's happened over the last few years. But how was COVID on your business, and how'd you get through it? Was it good? Was it bad? Just curious.
Yeah. So on, I think it was like March 11th of 2020, I was actually in Waco, Texas for a maker's market at Magnolia. We were invited to participate in the event from Chip and Joanna Gaines.
Oh, wow.
And yeah. So I was down there, and I think at the time, they were only inviting like 40 makers or something. So it was like a big deal to be
Sure.
invited and get there. So we set up, and we created everything down there. And unfortunately, they deemed COVID at the time a pandemic, and the city of Waco revoked the street permits, and they kind of were left with no option. They were trying to keep people away from the event at that point. So we literally had to pack everything up and go home.
Yeah, no.
So at the time, it was we were bummed. We worked really hard to
Sure.
get there, and we were so excited to be accepted. And it was just one of those weird things that happened. And so we got a car and drove back from Texas. And I was on the phone with my dad, and things were getting shut down in Pennsylvania, and we were forced to close our doors for the first time in like 132 years.
Yeah. Wow.
We were considered non-essential. So I'm on the phone with him. He's having to make this call with my aunt back at the factory. We're driving home, and I'm brainstorming, of course, and trying to figure all of this out. So my sister and one of my best friends at the time are in healthcare. They were working in a rehab and a hospital setting, and they weren't getting proper PPE. So I'm like, thinking about all of this on our very long drive home, and I'm like, we can make masks. Like, we can do this. So I get back to the factory, and my dad and I start brainstorming. We start working with local hospitals, local EMS, fire companies. And I said, at the time, I was like, we have seamstresses here. This is no different than creating a shoe pattern, right? So
Sure.
the only difference is it's a mask, it's not a shoe, and it's cloth versus leather. But other than that, it's a basic pattern, and you put it together. So we were able to create our own mask design. And at first, we actually used dye that we had here to cut each piece, so that we weren't cutting one at a time. We were able to cut several layers of fabric, and we worked with our seamstresses, and they were amazing helping us create this pattern. And we ended up selling.
Yeah, we had to shut down the website, though. We put them on our website.
Oh, wow.
It almost crashed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just went crazy. And we did get DCED, PA Department of DCED allowed us to open our doors again because we made medical grade orthopedic shoes for children.
Got it. Now, what's DCED?
The Department of Community and Economic Development.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're
But
the
these were
ones that
kind of like
they
the
over-
gatekeepers. Yeah. Okay. Got it.
They oversaw the shutdown of all
Got
PA businesses.
That's
So
a crazy story, by the way.
it was so crazy. And, the Wall Street Journal got a hold of the story, switching from shoes to masks, and doing it pretty quickly. I mean, we were up and running and had the masks listed on our website by the first week of April.
Okay.
And the reason we did that is I think our governor at the time made it mandatory for all people in public settings to be masked. And I was like,
Sure.
we're not making shoes right now. No one's going anywhere. No one's buying shoes. Like, let's make masks and see where this goes. And I think we sold them for like $7 or something like that. And
Well, here's the great part. We were able to quickly bring back 90% of our workforce.
Yeah,
And that to me was important. I
of
didn't
course.
want
Yeah,
them um, sitting out there unemployed. And
yeah.
so we were happy that Audrey
Were they
came up
were
with
they
the idea.
were they good masks?
I
Yeah,
mean, I
they
think
were
so. I
fine.
still wear.
Yeah,
I still
yeah.
wear.
I
them.
just I just bring that up because my mother-in-law made masks and they were great, but they were like, I just remember the early days when everyone was kind of figuring it out. It was like you could rob a bank in one of these things, it was like going all the way around your head.
Well,
They did.
it was also funny because we use elastic in some of our shoes, some of our Mary Jane styles, and there was this elastic shortage, and we knew how to get elastic at the time because we already had a supplier that provided it to us. So we were putting elastic spools out on our doorstep for these women who were making them at home, and we were like this elastic supplier all of a sudden too. So
Yeah.
it's just
And the other thing is, Shuyler, we had great contacts in the Amish community,
yes.
and they assisted us stitching the mask together. We would do all the cutting here and also supplying the materials
Yeah.
for
The
us.
fabric.
And we had 3 different Amish stitching operations that were locally
We had to outsource.
outsourced, and they really came through beautifully.
Well, that's awesome. Very congratulations and kudos on staying so flexible in what was a very very interesting time for all of us. Do you want to talk more about the Magnolia engagement that you had? I remember we talked a little bit, and it had a pretty positive impact on your business beyond just that trade show, right?
Yeah. So after the Spring at the Silos event got canceled, obviously we were bummed, but we quickly had to shift gears. We were back here making masks. And then later that year, we got a call from Magnolia Network, and they were doing a series called Everyday Story or Extraordinary Stories Behind Everyday Things. And they were going around businesses in the United States and just kind of telling their story and how things are made. So they came here in April of 2021, almost a year later, and filmed from start to finish how our shoes were made and talked about our family history and, our heritage and everything we've done over the past 100+ years. So that was an amazing opportunity, and we were so excited. While we were bummed, Spring at the Silos got canceled, we were so excited to have this opportunity to be on their network.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we, as we're getting back to normal, you'll get another shot at it. So what's on the docket for the rest of the year? Do you have any new product launches? Any new materials you'll be working with? What's hot and new for Zimmerman?
Yeah, so we are working with new clothing companies throughout the year. We have some collaborations in the mix that we'll be launching this season and next season. And like I said before, we're doing the merge this summer. We're also working with different publications in the wedding industry and in the baby industry for our crib shoes to get kind of noted there. I got married last year, and there were
Congrats.
thank you. There was no options for like flower girls and ring bearers, and luckily I was able to custom make my own shoes, but I realized that's a luxury that not a lot of people have. So we're really focusing again, like on niches like that, which we're really excited for.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I mean it's an interesting business you guys are in. It's such an inflection point in people's lives, right? When they have their first children and start to have to look around and say, oh, what is out here for shoes for my baby and beyond. So yeah, I think that's a really interesting touch point that you guys have with the customer as they kind of begin that journey into parenthood and making those different purchases. Well, we're really excited to see what you guys are coming up with. We'll have the Builder Pro here, the Baby Builder Pro, available in the next few months. and we'll definitely stay tuned for further updates there. I really appreciate the time, guys. Thank you so much for sharing with us, and always awesome to learn about U.S. made businesses like yourselves.
And you the same, Shuyler. It was great meeting with you and Nathan when you were here. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah,
Thank
no, thank you, and we'll look forward to working together more in the future. And I hope you guys have a great rest of the week.
Awesome.
You the same.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll be back here in a couple weeks. Bye.
All righty. So long.